Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Welcome to Kahului Hongwanji Buddhist Temple's online YouTube Sunday service. Today's service is for June 6th, 2021. And this Sunday we will have just our regular family service. So I'm glad that you're all able to join us. This month of June 2021, we will be having 2 in-person services in the temple, so you'll hear about that in the announcements later. We are slowly getting back to having regular Sunday services, but of course we have to also proceed slowly and be careful because of the COVID situation, which is still with us and still uncertain, so we have to exercise caution, but we're kind of getting there. And in the meantime, we're going to keep having the YouTube services as long as we can, because a lot of people appreciate these, and especially people who are not able to come to church, even when we do have services, or who don't live here on the island. So anyway, so today's service will just be, as I said, our regular family service. We've already heard the ringing of the Kancho bell, which calls us all to be present, to be mindful for this hearing the Dharma, for reflecting on ourself and on the significance of living. We'll begin now with the Vandana and Tisarana, praising the Buddha and the Buddha's enlightenment, and taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And following the Vandana Tisarana, we will have the chanting of the sutra. This is the English Sutra Gasho to Amida today. Then we will recite the Golden Chain of Love, followed by the Dharma message, which I will share with you. After that, we will chant the Metta, loving kindness meditation, and sing the Nembutsu, and then we'll have some closing words and announcements. Okay, so thank you very much for being here, and let's put our hands together and begin our service by reciting the Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo Tassa
Amida. Trees and grasses and flowers all grow in great compassion. This light shines throughout the world. I gasho to Amida. Flowers bloom and flowers fall. From the seed sprout new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I gasho to Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I gasho to Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Buddha's voice, my voice are one. I gasho to Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel great compassion. I gasho to Amida. Nembutsu in work and play, every day with Amida, every moment filled with light. I gasho to Amida. Remember the golden chain, kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I gasho to Amida. In the clear bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I gasho to Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in great compassion. This great power guides my life. I gasho to Amida. Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. The virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Golden Chain of Love. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Welcome again, and thank you for joining us today for our YouTube online Sunday service for June 6, 2021. I'd like to share some thoughts about the Buddha's teaching with you at this time. So let's begin our reflections today by reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So today, I'm going to share some thoughts about acts of compassion, acts of kindness, acts of loving kindness. Very important in the Buddhist tradition. So, in the whole realm of Buddhism, the whole history of Buddhist practice and Buddhist practitioners, there are many stories about Buddhist masters taking great pains to avoid harming living creatures out of compassion and also out of respect for the life of all beings. So we should not be surprised at this at all. When we become deeply immersed in the Dharma, whether through study, meditation, or mindfulness of Amida Buddha, through the Nembutsu, whatever path we are taking, we cannot help but be transformed by the great wisdom which we call Amida's light, which shines on all beings. This is one of the ways we can learn what the Buddha's power, what other power really means, the power of great compassion. So one such story from a wonderful book called The Buddha in the Jungle by Kamala Tiavanich tells of a forest monk in Old Siam, today's Thailand, named Kruba Kasem. Now Kruba Kasem tried never to harm any insects. Even the many mosquitoes that are so common in the forest there. If you've ever been to Thailand or any place in Southeast Asia, or actually anywhere in the world in that kind of climate zone, you know that there's lots and lots of mosquitoes and lots of ants and lots of things that bite you all the time. So when the mosquitoes swarmed around Karuba Kasem at night, while he was trying to meditate, he would never kill them. He would never never hurt them, but he would simply try to gently brush them away without harming them. And he would also try to talk to them, to reason with them. He'd say, okay, now, you've already sucked up enough of my blood. I'm already thin. I don't know if the mosquitoes were persuaded by his argument, but it's clear that he did this out of the compassion that he had learned from the Buddha Dharma, and also as an example to others. This attitude toward living things did not stop with insects or animals, as it often does with most of us. Once, a thief came to where he was spending the night, and thinking that Kruba Kasem was asleep, he began to steal his mosquito netting. As the thief was having difficulty untying the knots with which the netting was attached to a tree, Kruba Kasem rose from his meditation and began helping the man. Then he gave the thief his pillow and blanket as well as the net, and told him to hurry away so that he wouldn't get caught and be in trouble. So, reflecting on the meaning of this, I recall that there are many similar stories in diverse religious traditions in which a monk or a pious person treats a thief with love and generosity, treats an enemy with love and generosity. Why do they do this? One reason may be that the spiritual life that they live has rid them of the attachments that normally cause most of us to hold on tight to our possessions. On the other hand, giving away what you value and need is in itself a practice to teach yourself non-attachment and also compassion. Another reason for such behavior could be a desire to impart a religious teaching to the person who's trying to steal from you, the thief, so that he or she might be able to change their path in life. By encountering the unexpected phenomena of receiving love from his victim, rather than hostility or fear, a thief might learn that there are ways of relating to people that transcend mere self-interest, ways based on mutual care and regard. After all, a criminal does not do evil simply because he or she feels that it's a good thing to do. He acts out of the rules of the world that exist within and around him in ways that his experience have shown him to be expedient. And so, truly spiritual people may treat those who victimize them with love and compassion in order to, you might say, reprogram them, deprogram them, program them, to help them to be able to view the world in a new way. A thief naturally accepts the likelihood of being caught and punished for stealing. He knows that's part of his life. He has a rudimentary understanding of the law of cause and effect, which we all possess to some degree. He might call it justice or retribution, but the true nature of cause and effect, which Buddhists call karma, is not so simple as that. A thief or murderer who takes retribution for granted, takes the fact that they may be punished for what they've done for granted, he or she does not necessarily understand the nature of the harm his actions cause others. In fact, we cannot even understand what an other is, or even that others exist, until we have experienced the compassion and the uncritical acceptance of another person, and have thus become able to identify our suffering and their suffering as the same. To realize that, oh, you suffer just like I suffer. Of course, mere human compassion may not have quite the effect we desire all the time. So the thief in this story might easily have walked away from his encounter with Kruba Kasem with an attitude of kind of smug satisfaction, He might have thought, oh, how lucky I am that I chose such a fool for a victim. He gave me all his stuff. I didn't have to take it. I didn't have any trouble. He just gave it all to me. In this case, that thief would have learned no good lesson, and no transformation will have taken place. In real life, it usually takes much more than an act of kindness to turn a person's life around. But it can. An act of kindness, a single act of kindness can turn a person's life around. That's also part of the story. You never know if this is the one act that may really transform this person. Another explanation for the curious behavior of the monk Kruba Kasem is that out of his own Buddhist practice, which is very important in the especially in the Theravada tradition, the practice of metta karuna, of loving kindness, is that he hoped to lessen the karmic consequences of the thief's action. So if the mosquito net, the pillow, and the blanket become gifts, I'm giving these to you, he's saying, rather than plunder, then no act of theft has actually occurred. And so the possibility of the thief altering his life as a result of this of this event, it may have been remote, but at least the thief would not have to bear the weight of more evil karma as a result of stealing from Krupa Kasem. So Krupa Kasem is saying, I'm giving this to you, it's not, so there's no bad karma from that you have stolen this. So he's doing that to help him in that way, in a kind of, metaphysical way, you might say. So in this case, this act of kindness would be mutually beneficial because Krupa Kasem would have avoided his own share of the karma that would have resulted in such an act. Had he simply allowed the thief to steal his belongings, since he was aware the thief is stealing stuff from me, if he just pretended to remain asleep and let the thief take all these things, as we probably would do, most of us, because we would feel afraid to confront the thief or whatever it would be. But Krupa Kasem understood that if he just allowed him to steal his belongings, when he could actually either stop him or give him the belongings so that there would not be the negative karma from stealing them, you see. So Krupa Kasem felt that he would be responsible, partly responsible, for what happened to the thief as a result of this action. So if he just let the thief be a thief and take his stuff, Krupa Kasem felt, I'm partly responsible now. I would have to bear part of that guilt, that karma for allowing this to happen. So he gave him the items that the thief would otherwise have stolen. So the great teacher Shinran in the Jodo Shinshu tradition teaches us that no matter how compassionate an act on the part of a sentient being may be, it's never 100% pure. Even the wisest and most compassionate person cannot help but retain some vestige of self-interest in everything he or she does. And so our attempts to help others always have uncertain outcomes. And although we may intend to help, we also may do harm, especially when our desire to help arises out of selfish motivations, which is also quite a common occurrence. There's almost always some degree of selfish motivations going on when we are helping someone or doing what we think is a good deed. Do you always help for entirely the right reasons? That's a question we should always ask ourselves. So often, people do things that are, common sense, the general culture feels are automatically good deeds, making donations to, let's say, to the temple, for instance. Not very good, we need money. But a lot of times people do that so that they feel, or sometimes people do that, they want to be acknowledged. They want their name listed or put on a plaque somewhere. They want to have, in some ways, be patted on the back for being a good person. And that's understandable. We all need that, actually. We need a little bit of acknowledgement and praise and all that kind of things. But it shows us, we're not we have to really question how our sense of, or our own goodness, we can really delude ourselves and think that our goodness is so pure, we've perfected ourselves already, But I think in general we all have to, if we're honest, we understand we all have a long way to go to being perfect beings, and most of our actions do have a mixture of motivations and intentions. So, in my reading of this story, I can't help but feel that something else, though, is going on besides what we've talked about. Beyond Krupa Kasem's practice, beyond helping, beyond merit, beyond attaining merit for himself or for others, and all the reasons that you might think of in a Buddhist context for this, something else is going on. Krupa Kasem, certainly, living the life he lives and with his dedication, would have had much less attachment to his belongings than the average person. But this alone would not have caused him to give them up to the first thief that comes along. they seem like humble items, a mosquito net and a pillow and a blanket, but when you have nothing, when that's all you have, they're important, and those are not trivial items. The mosquitoes, without the mosquito net, he'd have to do a lot more reasoning with the mosquitoes to stop them biting him, and it would be almost intolerable. You can imagine sleeping in the forest in a hot Thailand in the middle of the night, and the mosquitoes. There's a lot of mosquitoes, so so that mosquito net is often, in a sense, almost a matter of life and death. And especially if you consider like malaria and all those other kinds of things. So, giving that up was a serious action, a serious decision on his part. Now, there's no doubt that Kruba Kasem had compassion for the thief. He really did. But we know that, as he must have known, that human compassion is always kind of limited and mixed with our self-interest. He may have intended to help the thief to change his life, but he would have been deeply aware, after all those years of meditation and self-reflection, he would have been aware, he would have had a sober and clear understanding of the implication of his intention to give the thief these items. Thinking about it, I have a feeling that Kruba Kasem's behavior was really a manifestation of what Shinran called the working of Amida's vow, or simply great compassion. In other words, Kruba Kasem's response to the thief arose simply and naturally, without calculation, out of his condition, the condition of deep faith and trust that he had for the Buddha and the Dharma. And that faith and trust is itself the transcendent power of wisdom and compassion. Kruba Kasem was a monk of the Theravada tradition, and he certainly respected the idea of self-perfection, the possibility of perfecting oneself. That's the goal of a monk in that elder tradition of Theravada. And so, slightly different than Mahayana tradition. It's nuanced as well, but there's a definite intention and commitment to, I'm going to keep working and working on myself, and to see all my all the imperfections, and to correct them, and to continually correct them my whole life. And so he definitely respected the idea of self-responsibility, and the importance of performing virtuous acts in order to attain perfection, and also to help others to attain perfection. So this was all part of what would have been quite normal for him in his beliefs, in his religious faith. And he certainly had never heard of Shinran's teaching, and probably didn't know too much about Mahayana teachings, which emphasize more of the Buddha's working, the Buddha's side helping us. But I don't have any doubt that his treatment of the thief in this story demonstrates that he lived with total faith and trust in the transcendent power of the Dharma, which Shinran understood as being the essential reality that allows us all to transcend our limited state of selfishness and awaken to true reality. We could say that Kruba Kasem's action was a manifestation of the transformative power of great compassion, the light of wisdom that permeates and embraces all things everywhere. This light is not hindered by our selfishness and greed, or by any impossibility. You people don't change. It's impossible for people to change. The light of great compassion is never hindered by any of our human ideas that say this can't be done, or that can't be done. So Kruba Kasem, though he followed a tradition that emphasized self-perfection, nevertheless, in his deep trust and commitment to the Dharma, he also was completely awakened to the reality of the power of the Dharma that goes beyond our limitations and beyond our ability to transform and change ourselves or others. And he trusted that power. So he was able to act with great confidence. So here, take my belongings. It's okay, and then you better go so you don't get in trouble, right? He really, without any effort, he was able to think for the sake of this other person. Of course, most of us, in our limited and dualistic way of thinking, believe that bad people like thieves and murderers cannot ever really change. Our samsaric minds, our minds that dwell in the world of suffering, refuse to truly accept those who do not fit into our conception of good, of what is good. For us, we usually divide the world up. Those are good people, those are not good people. People I like, people I don't like, things I like, things I don't like, and so on. We're judgmental. That's our nature. There's a reason for our judgmental nature in terms of our survival as living beings, and all animals have a kind of discernment, but we need to know that about ourselves and how we apply that, especially because of our minds, our human minds, which are much more complex and capable of much more damage than other living beings. We are judgmental, but Kruba Kasem, this simple forest monk, steeped in the heart and mind of the Buddha, saw this bad person, this thief, without discrimination, without judgment of any kind, just as the Buddha would see him. All he saw was a living being who needed to be embraced and accepted just as he was. You're a thief? Here. Just as you are. He accepted him. Such total acceptance is paradoxically and inconceivably totally transforming. You'd think that such acceptance would just be saying it's okay to do anything, it doesn't matter. Some people, would object to that and say that's kind of relativism, and moral relativism. It doesn't matter what you do. But paradoxically and inconceivably, the total acceptance of another person, who some might deem a bad person, others might deem a good person, the total acceptance of a person without any of those judgments is completely transforming. It simply is. It's completely transforming. And so may we all be transformed by the Buddha's compassionate embrace, and like Karuba Kasem, manifest the Buddha's light in this suffering world through our own acts of compassion. Thank you very much for listening. Let's conclude by reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
Well, thank you for joining with us today for our YouTube Sunday online service. And I just have a few announcements to share with you. And you'll also find these announcements on the scrolling text that follows at the end of the service. We will be having our a fundraiser in June this month. June 19th will be the pickup day. And you can call the office for information about ordering items for the fundraiser. It's a food pickup, of course, and the main items are kalua pork and lomi salmon. So the pickup time will be between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. So you can give us a call or check our website for more information about that. Okay, in-person service this month. We will have a service on Father's Day, June 20th, on which we will not only honor fathers, but we will also be honoring our graduates on that day. That will be June 20th. That will be in-person service, although there will also be a YouTube service as well. And the same thing on June 27th. We will have a in-person service with our family gratitude remembrance, as well as having the YouTube services will also be posted as well. Okay, so next week also there will be a YouTube service. Okay, and then finally, in July, where we would normally be having our Bon dance and the Hatsubon services on 2 consecutive nights, we have, of course, as has almost all the temples and organizations in Maui, we have canceled our Bon dance because of COVID-19, but we will be having our Hatsubon services on two Saturdays, Saturday, July 17th and Saturday, July 24th. And on each of those Saturdays, we will have a service at 10 a.m. and at 4 p.m. And these are sort of communal first-year memorial service, first-year Obon memorial services. So it's traditional to have a service around the time of Obon to remember anyone who has passed away since the previous year's Obon. And that's in addition to a regular first-year service in the tradition. So anyone who has had a funeral here that we have on record will be notified about that. But if anyone else is interested and would like someone remembered at any of these 4 Hatsubon services, let us know, and we will be happy to schedule you into those services. And we will have to take license to sort of spread the people that we will have out so that we don't have too many people on any given night, any given one of those services. So Saturday, July 17th and the 24th, service, Hatsubon services at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Okay, thank you very much. You can watch the scrolling text to review the announcements we've had. So thank you very much, and let's put our hands together in Gassho as we conclude our service today. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida.